Am I free to go?
I want my lawyer now.
I want a lawyer right now.
Mr. Nolan, it's for you.
My name is Patrick Nolan. I'm an attorney licensed in the state of Missouri. This is Pat Talks Law. Medical marijuana reciprocity. Well, you knew this was going to come. So right now, what we have here, and I had a call from a prosecutor actually just a little while ago that was asking me about reciprocity with other states. What states do we have reciprocity with in Missouri? Can a California medical marijuana card holder, if there are any, use medical marijuana in Missouri? Well, the answer is yes, and it's a tentative yes, it's a qualified yes, because like everything, we don't have any court decisions that we can base an opinion on thoroughly. So when you go to the constitutional amendment, Article 14 now, Section 5, additional patient, physician, caregiver, and provider protections. Paragraph 1 under Section 5 is, except as provided in this section, the possession of marijuana in quantities less than the limits of this section were established by the department, and transportation of marijuana from a medical marijuana dispensary to the qualifying patient's residence shall not subject the possessor to arrest, criminal or civil liability, or sanctions under Missouri law, provided that the possessor produces on demand to the appropriate authority a valid qualifying patient identification card, a valid qualifying patient cultivation identification card, a valid physician certification while making application for an identification card, or a valid primary caregiver identification card. Production of the respective equivalent identification card or authorization issued by another state or political subdivision of another state shall also meet the requirements of this subdivision. So yes, if you have a medical marijuana card issued by the state of Nevada or the state of Washington or Oregon or Colorado or another state, and that is the equivalent of our patient identification card. And this is the equivalent is one of those things that gets in the gray area. Is the card truly an equivalent card? Will a patient ID card from a state that has different criteria for issuance of a patient ID card for medical marijuana, will that qualify? Well, our court hasn't seen that yet. Now we do know that a DWI in another state for criteria that aren't criteria for DWI in Missouri will not count as a DWI in Missouri as a prior charge. For example, if you are charged with DWI in a state that allows a conviction for DWI for merely possessing your keys in an intoxicated state next to your car, Missouri would not consider that a DWI. You actually have to operate the vehicle in Missouri. So do we apply that reasoning to the respective equivalent identification card? I think we kind of have to, as we don't have a list of states with reciprocity yet. DHSS has not said that we have reciprocity with Nevada, Iowa, Illinois, Colorado. Very much like we have CCW reciprocity in other states. And Missouri CCW is valid in other states because their CCW is valid in Missouri. And you can look that up, but there is reciprocity for these things. Some states do not extend reciprocity. So our Constitution, I should say, not statute, our Constitution provides for the acceptance of a equivalent identification card issued by another state or political subdivision of another state. Now, this is also using state as a lowercase state. Could there be a challenge by an aggressive prosecutor? Yes. They could argue that the use of the lowercase state is not meaning one of the several states, one of our sister states in the United States, but rather a foreign state, a nation state like Canada or Mexico or Denmark. I don't know how far that would go, but it's an argument that could be made and might be accepted by somebody. Lawyers argue over little things like capitalization and apostrophes all the time. Hell, we argue over the meaning of words that everybody thinks is pretty clear. So, could that be argued? Yes. Is it likely to? Gosh, I don't know. 113 counties, several hundred prosecuting attorneys. I've got no way to know what everyone's going to want to do. But in this case, I think that if you are possessing a medical marijuana card from another state in the United States and you are following Missouri law with that, you can probably lean on this. However, you need to make sure that it is roughly, it's an equivalent ID card, and it is incumbent upon you to make sure that our law enforcement can verify that card on a Sunday. If they can't verify that your card is equivalent, you very likely may wind up getting cited, having your medicine taken, and going through that process. They can dismiss the charge, but finding you again to write, to send you the summons, that could take forever. So I think I would make sure that you have your paperwork in order if you are visiting Missouri from outside the state. If you're going to be using and depending on reciprocity, whether you are leaving Missouri to go to another state or you're coming to Missouri from another state, make sure that everything is in order. If you're going to another state, keep printed copies of your patient ID card with you. Remember, you cannot transport marijuana across state lines. You're crossing the federal territory there, and they frown on that. So that's just one point that I wanted to raise because it is a point that has come up on a weekend. I mean, it came up. I got a call from a prosecutor and asked what my thoughts were, and I gave him my thoughts. I think that we have reciprocity. I think that reciprocity on the street, the officers could just extend it as long as they verify the cards. In this case, a person that raised the question, had a fake medical marijuana card from California. I guess if you're gonna forge a marijuana card, don't pick a state that has all their patients listed on a website that law enforcement has access to. So they're able to verify that and realize that that was a fake card. That's not going to end well for that person. So make sure that you can support your card, your paperwork. Bring copies of your paperwork, keep copies of your paperwork. Keep a copy of your doctor's rec if you feel you need to. You cannot keep too much paperwork, okay? And you never know, it may come in handy. So if you're planning on leaving the state and using medical marijuana in another state, you go on vacation, you're planning on purchasing from a dispensary there. If that state allows reciprocity with Missouri, you'll need to present your Missouri patient ID to them. When you're leaving that state, you should dispose of any marijuana, any medical marijuana that you have remaining. Do not try to transport it back to Missouri. If you're coming into Missouri, same thing applies. We don't have any dispensaries open yet. So if you are purchasing medical marijuana in Missouri from a source or even a source you make, understand that you are potentially purchasing black market marijuana, and while you have a right to possess that and use that under reciprocity, that does not mean that you're going to be protected in that exchange at all. So clearly be careful. So that's just a Sunday tip. Thank you very much. I appreciate your watching, and we'll be talking to y'all again soon. Please hit like, subscribe, and smash the alert bell so you know when our next video is. Thank you.